Hey, how's it going, everybody? With roster locks officially coming to a close at midnight tonight, as recording this on Monday, there's a lot of rosters that are starting to become solidified, but just as a heads up, just because they have to be locked in doesn't necessarily they need to be announced. Despite this, there is a ton of rosters that have been announced, ones that we've been waiting on, some that are being hinted at. And in today's video, we're going to break them all down. We're going to start right off the bat and get these out of the way just because there is a bunch. It's going to be starting with Team Vitality. Team Vitality officially announces that a wonderful chapter in our history is closing and that Kaydop is no longer with the team after winning a world championship and everything else. Kaydop made the move to go to an all-French roster after leaving Gale Force and Dignitas, and was met with a lot of success and has had a ton of success as arguably the #1 streamer and content creator in Rocket League right now. His streams pull on average like 6 to 7K viewers. It's absolutely insane. And the rumors right now are that Kaydop's going to be joining Shawzette and Fairy Peak over on Solary. We'll have to wait and see on that one and if it becomes solidified, but from what it looks like, I don't think there's any other options. So interested to see on how that one plays up. Next is a big talk around ApparentlyJack. There was a lot of discussion surrounding his contract and the situations that he was dealing with. And eventually on September 23rd, Dignitas does say, "Thank you, ApparentlyJack, for your time at Dignitas. We wish you the best on your journey." And he is released. Jack does have a response to this, saying that he truly loved his time at Dignitas, leaving them today with a lot of gratitude for what they've done and what I've accomplished. It's been in my home for pretty much 2 years, but I'm excited to see what's next. He does reply as well to that as a subtweet saying, "Business decisions are difficult and not everyone can be happy during the process. You guys can't know exact details, but I'd love if we could treat Dignitas with respect, that it's done. They're a good org to me and we're parting ways on good terms." This got a lot of people talking, and even Joria's, his former teammate, does chime in and states that about a half a year ago, roughly back in March, Jack ended up signing a 3-year contract and kind of criticizes him, saying it's not really smart. Jack does end up replying to this and providing some context, saying, "Hey, I'm not prepared to go into conversations like this when I can't give all the details regarding why I signed that contract in the first place, but I will leave it at this. It was a good thing to sign at the time, and I stand by that. I can't predict an org's future, but when I signed, what I saw from the org was great and was committed to them for a long time." He states that he would in fact love to stick with an org long term, and he says that, finding one org long term is kind of the play. It's my dream to be with one forever instead of hopping around. Says, "I'll be honest, I was also offered the most lucrative contract in RL recently by Dig, to which I turned down because of wanting to pursue something elsewhere, which is now being accomplished." We'll talk about that in just a second. "Everything has turned out perfectly fine for me, whilst being given the opportunity to being the highest paid in the game. So I love Jora's, but I don't particularly agree that it wasn't smart. In fact, I'd argue that I'd do it again given the chance. Showing loyalty and having close ties with people in authority does wonders, and that showed in the opportunities presented to me and the eventual outcome I chose during this offseason. Hope this comment doesn't come off as arrogant, etc." And he basically expresses the reason why he did it. To provide a little bit more context, again, and I discussed this in my video, when signing contracts, there's a lot of things that, again, we don't get to know about as third parties, and there's a lot of decisions as to why these are doing it. I'm glad that Jack provides that without getting into any of the specifics of like, hey, I had an opportunity to sign long-term with an organization that's job security, that's a guaranteed paycheck, that's a lot of opportunities. And I look at that and go, hey, man, 3 years in Rocket League is a really long time. And if they're willing to kind of give you the reins to say, hey, this is your team, build around it, that's awesome. But we also know a lot can happen in 3 years. So making sure that you do take care of yourself in contracts, even though it's a 3-year contract, make sure you have buyout clauses, make sure that there is things set as a precedent so that if you do need to have an exit clause or if you need to get out, or you have a set standard like for a buyout, like you take a percentage of your salary, X amount of months, that's how much the buyout is. Things like that will help these players in the future. So I'm sure it was a great learning experience for Jack, but either way, he does shortly after announce along with Chronic that the Stormtroopers are going to be Chronic, ApparentlyJack, and Nolly. So Nolly, former of K-Corp, you've got ApparentlyJack, former of Dig, and then Chronic, who's coming over from Randoms. He talks about happy with this team, amazing mentality, and the skill of these players speaks for itself. Can't wait for the new season. Going to be competing in North America, moving to Toronto tomorrow. Let's go, man. This is a dream, so genuinely happy. So you've got officially confirmed that Stormtroopers, rumored to be signed by Genji, is the current conversation. He's going to be living in Toronto with Nolly. Nolly even put out a tweet, I think last night or the night before, about him arriving. They're using the Shopify Rebellion facilities right now to practice, play, scrim, all that kind of stuff while they, again, try to get settled in. So pretty cool stuff from them. a lot to pay attention to, and they're not too far of a drive away. Maybe I'll go make a visit and go see Brody, because it's been a while since I've seen Leaf X. Up next, former teammates of ApparentlyJack. Let's talk about Scrubkilla, who does announce his new team, along with Nas and Rai, which will be their new roster. Rumors currently are that they are going to be potentially picked up by SK Gaming as well. So SK, Scrubkilla, why not? Makes sense. Moving forward as quickly as possible, we do have Faze Clan, who does announce the departure of AJ, because there's been a lot of rumors of what his situation is over at the Peeps. We'll talk about that in a bit. And immediately after that, they end up announcing Mist. We recently saw this team with typical Mist and First Killer play in the roster royale by a crew and took first place. They ended up beating the Peeps 4-3 in the grand finals. So a lot of potential with this roster from everything I've seen. They did not seem to skip a beat. They look absolutely fantastic. So really excited about this roster. Arguably for me, one of the teams that you're going to see top 4 pretty consistently. Jumping back over to Europe, you've got the Turboclappers, and no, it has nothing to do with Turbopulsa. It is Hibs, Dying, and Growly. They're going to be teaming up together for a team. Not sure on how this team is going to perform, but some hopeful of main event performance out of them. Other players as well around the scene in Yukeo announcing his team with Tigre and Speed. So Speed going to be making it back into the competitive scene alongside Yukeo. So interested to see where these former like heroic players have been going, along with Violent Panda and everything else. So curious to see on how this team will perform. Either way, I know the vibes will be pretty good. Seems like a really fun team to be around, but results wise, I'm curious on how they perform. Up next, we've got Ghost Gaming, which has been seeing a lot of different iterations. There's been conversations as well about players like T. Carell, who are trying to find the ability to be released from Sonics. And the current Ghost iteration is Hoxer, Shock, and T. Carell. A little bit of concern for me on the consistency side of things. I think Hoxer is definitely a player that does not get enough credit with his performance. Shock has shown that he can be such a threat, and everybody memes about his low 50s. But if you keep winning them, man, people are going to keep talking about him. And T-Carell can lock it down as well as put some pretty good pressure from the backfield. So interested to see what Shift ends up looking like here with Ghost Gaming. They probably have an announcement coming soon, but overall, that is the expected roster and current rumors. Again, shouts to Shift for putting in the effort to put all this information out there to give us stuff to talk about. Up next, Furia ends up putting out a tweet and does confirm that they say, look who just arrived at North America for the season. So it is confirmed. Furia is going to be moving to North America and competing in NA RLCS. To provide some insight, last time this happened with True Neutral, which became Complexity, they were given the 16th seed overall and had to play in the Invitational qualifier. With Furia having international experience, top 6 performances, top 4 at Worlds, I would expect them to have a much higher seed in the Invitational tournament. Not this week, but the weekend after. But we'll have to wait and see. I did talk to Mateus a little bit about this, so I am curious to see what ends up happening. But I would expect them to get a top 8 seed based upon international experience. We'll have to wait and see though. Up next is Dignitas, which has been all over the place. Obviously, Dignitas players are all going elsewhere, with Archie joining others. You then had, we just talked about Scrub, and we talked about obviously Jack at the beginning. But the organization is still looking to pick up a team and move back to North America. The original conversation is that Dignitas was supposed to be Drees, Andy, and Zanil. The difficulty with this is shortly after we found out that Zanil decided he doesn't want to join Dignitas and will be last second pivoting to J-Pow and Turbopulsa under a new organization. For those that have not heard the rumors, the new organization is rumored to be Dark Zero. Whether that becomes the case or not, we'll have to wait and see. But you're talking what was Zanil, Andy, and Drees now leaves Zanil elsewhere with Turbo and J-Pow under potentially Dark Zero. We don't know if that's going to be confirmed or not. And then we also have Drees and Andy, and they are looking for their own new third. The conversations right now are between Illusion, former of Optic, and Delta. Delta was playing alongside Beast Abanium, and I think it was Turrenturo recently under Loco. So curious on who's going to get the short end of that stick. It's going to be really difficult too, because there is a lot of like leftover players that are just kind of stuck with nothing to do. If I had to guess, Dignitas will probably shoot for Alu and then maybe find a change after a split and Illusion goes to coaching or something. Who knows? I think Illusion's a very solid pickup, but so is Delta. So curious to see on how that one plays out, as they have at this point less than 10 hours to figure that out. So again, it's cutthroat out there. Best of luck to them. Up next, we've got G1 Official. We talked about how Renz, former Kansas City Pioneers, now the president over at G1 Official, is looking to pick up a team in Rocket League, and it looks like those rumors are going to be about ARG, marked by 8's new team with Atomic and Dorito. Didn't have the greatest results in the Roster Royale tournament, but also with ping and everything else. Hopefully this ends up being a pickup. A lot of people getting confused in the comments of this one because it says, and I quote, "The team is in North America to boot camp for RLCS and fulfilling media requirements for G1." And statements are important, everybody. Means that they are doing both of these things, but they are just boot camping and doing media requirements to shoot photos for the announcement, and then are going to go back to Europe. That just happens to be where they are right now because that's where the organization is. So ARG will be playing still in Europe, not in North America. We don't need another international transfer. I don't think NA can handle that many. But once they get done with boot camps and everything else, they'll move back to Europe. They have an extra week, don't forget, because of qualifiers and stuff. Up next, the one that everybody's been waiting for, it is Torrent. Torrent does officially announce that they are releasing their player in Magic Bear. Magic Bear has officially been departed and gone elsewhere. And to nobody's surprise, it is to the Peeps, who are now Optic Gaming. This was just announced about 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago on my timeline. And Optic Gaming has announced that it is Reddles, AJ, and Magic Bear completing it with Raw Greg as their coach. So congratulations to them. Everything ends up working out, and they are all happy. Sunshine and rainbows. This, again, as a team, as a reiteration, went to 7 against Faze in their first tournament in the Roster Royale. Looked pretty dang solid as well. A couple things they got to still figure out. I think Magic Bear is still trying to find his footing with the team, but a lot of potential with the young team. And with Optic as your backing, I expect good things. And last, certainly not least, we've been wondering what's been going on with OSM, as he's been talking a lot about trying to get back into the competitive spot. It looks like he's going to be joining Gaimin Gladiators alongside Maxu and LCT. So congratulations to OSM. He's going to be moving to APAC. It's not just Kami and not just Virtuoso. So OSM is going to be going to the APAC region, which has combined. And something that I need to bring up, and something that really irritates me, is they combined APAC North and South and then reduced the prize pool. Which is really frustrating. Again, another decision based upon SSA not having any major stuff again. You're seeing APAC North and South combined, which I thought was cool, but then they reduced the prize pool. Been some decisions going on in this new format that we didn't get to see initially. That's been pretty frustrating looking at the rules. So hopefully some of these things get figured out, because it's kind of disrespectful that regions that are trying to grow and get better, and then you discredit or you take away some of the funding, which makes it even tougher for them to build and grow and become, a more international region. So it's really frustrating to see that in the handling of the expansion region. So that's what I've got for the rosters now. We will, again, as always, be updating the roster document, twitch.tv/Lawler. We stream every day but Tuesday and Sunday. Come hang out with us. I'll be updating the document, talking about the roster changes, how I feel about the results, all that kind of stuff, as well as with the RLCS starting technically this weekend on Friday with open qualifiers. Trying to do our best to make sure that you guys get ready. I'll be doing roster, like, full-blown videos of all the changes, trying to break everything down between NA, EU, and all the expansion regions to keep you guys up to date. A lot of things preparing on who I think is going to be the best performing right out of the gate, way too soon predictions, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of fun things coming up on the YouTube channel, as well as a documentary that we are so close to finishing that I think you guys are going to really love. So with that said, that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoy the content, as always, like, subscribe, notifications, turn that stuff on. Leave any comments down below. I probably missed some roster stuff that's going on as well, because there were so many. But with that said, that's going to do it for today's video. Appreciate all the love and support. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.